Hello and welcome to On Point. I'm Yaris at Tapia. Today, we'll be discussing the rise of esports and its impact in the entertainment industry. The competitive game, League of Legends, had more viewers than the 2018 Super Bowl. Riot Games reported that almost 100 million unique viewers tuned into League of Legends online. For comparison, last year's Super Bowl had just over 98 million viewers, the smallest viewership number for the event since 2008. With the dramatic rise of esports, investors are jumping in. Esports has a lot in common with traditional sports, from highly skilled players and competitive teams to the huge amount of money generated from sponsorship and endorsements. In 2017, total prize pools came to $1.1 billion. Esports analyst Newzoo expects esports to reach 600 million viewers by 2021. On Point reporter Ryder Mcconville has the story.
Thank you, Yarzes. Now let's welcome our guests for today. They are CSUN Esports Club President Erin Alonzo and CSUN student and YouTube gamer Demothy Tien.
How are you doing?
Let's get right into it. This first question is for both of you guys. What has caused the esports industry to take off and grow so much in recent years? Let's start with you, Erin.
Yeah, I really believe the sense of community is like one of the biggest factors for esports gaming. There's a lot of people that go out to either collegiate events or a lot of people that go into professional games such as Overwatch League or League of Legends LCS. Those are the two big things I could think of right now. It kind of helps build up hype and there's a lot of community involved. It's really kind of a special thing to witness live, all the pro players and players just playing against each other. It's great.
Yeah, and like the community definitely a really big part of it, but I feel like one of the really big aspects that made esports like really grow was streaming, because it brought it to the screens of people that aren't able to make it out to like all these events and stuff. So with streaming, it made it a lot more accessible, much like how a lot of people like watching sports in general from the comfort of their homes, on their TVs and whatnot. It lets them watch these events and see like how big these things are going, and get a chance to see people play these games at a really high level.
Okay. Now let's get into a little bit of background. How did you get involved with esports and gaming? What interested you about it? Let's start with you, Demothy.
Yeah, sure. Well, I've always been really into gaming since I was a kid. I started off, my first console was actually the Nintendo 64. I also had like a lot of handhelds. So I've been gaming for pretty much my entire life. And me being a relatively competitive person, it was honestly kind of natural for me to get into esports and stuff like that. Although I'm mostly a fighting game player right now, and I didn't actually really get into fighting games until college. But again, I've always been relatively competitive and I've always grown up with video games, so.
What sort of fighting games do you play?
Mostly Street Fighter. I play Tekken as well. But it's mostly those two. But really, any fighting game, if it looks interesting to me, I'll play it. But definitely Street Fighter is the one that I'm most competitive in.
What about you, Erin? How did you get involved?
Yeah, ever since I was a kid, I had a Game Boy SP, and my first game was, I believe, Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. And from there, I really loved playing on the handhelds. My parents got me like a PlayStation Portable. Eventually they got me a GameCube, and that's when I was introduced to Super Smash Bros. Melee, and that was really like kind of when I started getting into gaming a lot more. And then as time went on, I eventually got myself a Wii, and then eventually built my own PC to play games like League of Legends and Overwatch also.
And what is like a regular day like at the esports club?
So on Thursdays from 12:30, we kind of start off with announcements if we have any other like events that we're holding here on campus or elsewhere. We also have any other announcements for our collegiate teams that may be competing online or on stream somewhere. And then after announcements are done, everyone proceeds to take out their laptops or their Nintendo Switches or get onto the computer lab computers, and they play games just all throughout the club time.
This next question's for you, Demothy. You mentioned streaming earlier.
Sure.
Why do you think this streaming of games appeals to so many people?
Well, it's really accessible. It's easy to just go online, type in twitch.tv, or now Mixer is another big streaming platform, and just watch people play. But also, like I mentioned before, you get a chance to watch people play these games at a very high level. And then people also like just being entertained in general. Like Let's Plays has always been really popular since with YouTube, right? And this is basically live Let's Plays. So just getting to see these people play, be entertaining, but also learn some new strategies from these high-level players is really interesting. And then with esports events, it gives these big esports events a chance to showcase the tournament or whatever to the masses. So people can, again, watch people play at a high level, but also see them make money and stuff too. And so just the accessibility of it really made it popular with people.
Do you think people enjoy more watching the competitive side of it or the entertainment side of streaming?
It's really both, but with tournaments and stuff, it's definitely the competitive side. But the more common thing for people to watch is people streaming and entertaining themselves. But again, the biggest streamers on these platforms are players that are playing at the highest level, the best players, part of esports teams and whatnot. So I would say it's probably the competitive aspect that is more appealing to people.
Erin, how do you feel streaming has affected the esports industry?
Yeah, streaming has definitely been like the biggest thing. For example, like Cloud9, Sneaky, he is a really popular League of Legends streamer. A lot of people go to his stream either to watch him, play League of Legends, either really competitively, or they're there to kind of just entertain Sneaky or watch Sneaky entertain, the masses. It's really great. Also, like Overwatch League is another big streaming like phenomenon. Overwatch has games every week, like 4 times a week, I believe, and they have players play on the big screen, and they're also live from Burbank, from the Blizzard Arena. So there's just a lot of people that come just watch professional Overwatch either live or online, and it's really spectacular to watch just the players just go at it and have, watch these pro players just, whoop each other and stuff.
So the World Health Organization officially added internet gaming to the 2022 International Classification of Diseases. In other words, they named video game addiction as a disorder. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
I actually wanted to chime in on this, actually. So a lot of people, there's a lot of misconception around the World Health Organization choosing to put video game disorder on there. A lot of people were saying like, oh, video game disorder, it's kind of really stupid and stuff like that. But they're actually looking at people who are actually really addicted to games to the point where it's affecting their health, affecting their interactions with other people. So it's not quite just like people that like playing video games have video game disorder. It's people that are actually being completely affected by it, and it's having a negative effect on their lives. So I think it's perfectly fine. It's the same thing as like gambling addiction or alcohol addiction and stuff like that. It's actually affecting people's lives and not really just as mundane of a thing as people think it is.
What about you, Erin?
Yeah. For example, a lot of people play 12 hours a day playing League of Legends or Overwatch, either to get better at the game or just or their love of the game. There's also, like he said, loot boxes. It kind of helps promote that gambling addiction where you purchase a loot box, you get like these in-game cosmetics, and then if you don't get what you want, you keep spending and spending and spending. It makes sense. I just feel like esports have taken a step in the right direction by getting these physical therapists that help with players health and stuff like that. It's really important to make sure players kind of watch their health while they play. So that's what esports is trying to help grow and promote.
Do you think there are a lot of people out there that are addicted to video games?
Oh, there's definitely, as many people are addicted to alcohol, as many people that are addicted to gambling, you're going to have the same amount of people that are addicted to video games. So it is definitely something that can, if you have an addictive personality and you get into video games, then you're definitely going to get addicted to it, just the same way as you get addicted to anything else, really.
And Erin, how do you keep yourself from playing too long, knowing when to take a break?
When I know when I feel my eyes start to feel a little droopy or like they're feeling dry, that's when I know I need to just like stop, stand up, walk to the take a drink, use the bathroom, just kind of reset myself for like 10 to 20 minutes. And then once I feel like I'm prepared and ready, I can go back in, or I can just do work on something else, like their homework, studying, that kind of stuff.
Okay, what do you think of like rehab centers for people who feel this is a problem?
I mean, I think it could definitely work. I don't think it needs to be like a rehab type thing that's specifically just for video game addiction, but like just rehab in general for people with addictive behavior would be something that's good to have, because we don't want these types of things ruining people's lives. So.
And change tunes a little bit. This next question's for both of you. For people who don't play, can you describe like the different types of games and what makes them appealing to people? Erin, you want to start?
Yeah, for sure. So there are definitely different genres of games. For example, a MOBA, multiplayer online battle arena, is where you choose these characters and you go up against another group of people. For example, League of Legends is a MOBA 5v5. Heroes of the Storm is another MOBA. There are other genres like the first-person shooter as one of the most popular. For example, there's Call of Duty, Halo, Battlefield, and there's also the more really popular genre right now, which is the Battle Royale. Games like Fortnite, Apex Legends, PUBG, those are the really popular Battle Royales, and each of them play differently to their, to different people. For example, if you want to shoot people with guns and stuff, first-person shooters is the way to go. If you want to like go up against another like 99 people, Battle Royales is another genre you could get into. But there are a lot of different genres for a lot of different people's interests, and also it kind of broadens the genre and gaming in general.
Yeah, I mean, like it's good to have like a lot of variety, right? It's the same reason we have all kinds of different sports. We have soccer, football, basketball. They all play differently. All the different genres, they play differently. And even amongst the same genre, you'll have gameplay differences, right? So like take fighting games for instance, Street Fighter and Smash Brothers. They play completely different. They have different rules. But the main thing that they all have that amongst all the different genres is that you are competing, whether it's a team competing against another team, or you have like 1v1 like fighting games, one player fighting against another player.
You mentioned professional sports. Do you think esports will ever get to that level?
I think so. I mean, right now it does have a negative stigma, right? A lot of people, they think, oh, video games, it's pointless. There's not a lot of reason behind it, and it's just rotting people's brains. But I mean, you're exercising your brain. You have competitive chess, for instance, right? Competitive chess is relatively big, and honestly, it's already gotten to the point where it's got such a gigantic following. League of Legends, for instance, I think in 2018, the viewership for Worlds reached, I think it was like close to just shy of 100 million viewers, right? It peaked at about 45 million concurrent viewers, and then 100 million unique viewers. And that was actually higher than the Super Bowl that year, as far as I remember. So it's gotten really big, and you have these gigantic prize pools already. People are winning millions of dollars competing in these games. So it's definitely already starting to get there.
What about League of Legends makes it so appealing?
It's a team-based game. I mean, I'm not really a League of Legends player myself. I tried playing it, and it wasn't really for me. But it requires a lot of strategy. You have these people that are assigned specific roles. There's people that play top, jungle, AD carry, support. You're all performing a different role in the game. And I think that's kind of what is appealing about it, because the different roles, you have strategies, you have to communicate all the time. And the general idea is pretty simple. You get into the enemy's base, you destroy their nexus. So it's a simple rule set, but it requires a lot of strategy to be able to play at a high level. So yeah.
Erin, can you talk about the technical innovation of games in the past 5 or 10 years that is making them more fun? Like what games particularly were revolutionary?
This is definitely a very spicy topic where we can talk about virtual reality games where, you put on this headset and you get placed into this kind of altered reality where you move around and interact with the world. And they're also, you know, the video game industry constantly upgrading their consoles, such as the Xbox One, the PS4. They at E3 they recently announced the next updated version of the Xbox, the next Xbox. I can't remember the specific name for that next generation console, and they say it helps further improve the frame rates, the graphics, the games themselves look more and more realistic compared to games from the PlayStation 2 era or the Nintendo 64 era. It's always constantly upgrading thanks to technology, and we get to see games improve, not only systematically, but design-wise, what game designers can do with the world and the characters and stuff.
Okay. This next question's for both of you. Let's start with you, Demothy. What issues or problems are there with esports that you would like to see solved, or anything that could be improved?
Well, one of the big things regarding esports is that there's not really a union, so a lot of players, they tend to get taken advantage of. League of Legends, for instance, for a while we saw players put into these situations where they had no time to themselves. They were constantly stuck to this very specific schedule. They're living in really bad conditions because a lot of the time they get shoved into what they call a gaming house, right? So these teams, they get shoved into this house together, and then they have this strict schedule of you got to get up, you eat breakfast, then you play the game, you practice your strategies as a team, and then you go stream, because a lot of these big players, they have to stream as well to maintain an audience, and so they get put in these situations where they're just not really taken care of, and I feel like that's something that really needs to be fixed. It's gotten a bit better since initially, but it is still an issue. And then you also have issues of player burnout, where people will have to play these games so much that they just don't like playing the game anymore. And so with I think it's shooters, for instance, the lifespan, not really the lifespan, but the span of them competing competitively is relatively short. And so once they're not able to really play anymore, they can't really do anything else, as in get another job, because they spent all this time playing a game.
What about you, Erin?
I really feel one of the biggest problems in esports in the general broad sense is just the toxicity among all the different game genres. For example, League of Legends and Overwatch, both are completely different genres, but both are quite sometimes people point at their toxicity of the fan base and the players, of how you're behind a screen and people can talk bad manners to each other.
Some communities just aren't very accepting of each other, and they just talk really rudely to one another, and it's not cool. We talked about it earlier. I couldn't continue playing Overwatch because the community was too toxic. Sorry.
Yeah, and these games are taking steps to help prevent toxicity, but it's still one of the biggest turnoffs for people to sometimes go into the game if you're new. Overwatch has taken steps to try and reduce the toxicity by banning certain IP addresses of players if they get enough reports, and if they get banned. League of Legends also is trying to detoxify the game itself and try to create a reward system for being very honorable, congratulating each other at the end of the game. They try to help alleviate some of the problems that toxicity brings.
I'd also like to add, that the situation for women isn't particularly improving much either. They're still heavily discriminated against. A term that we see floating around a lot is e-girls, right? So women streaming or playing video games, they'll call them an e-girl, say that they're trying to get attention, when in reality they really just enjoy the game. But they think they're just trying to get viewership because they are women and people are attracted to them. So.
Earlier you mentioned competitive players that stop competing early on in their careers. How do you think they can make a consistent living after they're done competing?
What a lot of people are doing after they stop competing is they start streaming. There's several high-level players that used to compete for teams, but then after they decided to stop competing competitively, they just started playing online and streaming. So since they already have that name, the recognition that they're a really good player, it's relatively easy for them to start a streaming career. But then if streaming doesn't really pan out, there's not really much for them to do afterwards. Although some of them do go into like management, like esports management is another career path that some people have been going towards. And tournament organizing, things like that, that's another thing. So there's a lot of careers, but most of the time they end up just streaming.
Erin, a lot of money is made from brand investments in esports. What does that mean?
So when a brand invests into an esports organization, we have gaming companies such as or esports organizations. Sorry, such as like Cloud9 and Team Solo Mid, Counterlogic Gaming, London Spitfire, Seoul Dynasty. These organizations and these games are sponsored by certain organizations. For example, there's like Razer, HyperX, iBuyPower. These companies provide hardware or like specific things like headsets, keyboards, mice, gaming peripherals specifically to either the organization itself or to the specific professional player. And they receive a lot of benefits of being, having these connections and, being sponsored by these companies.
Why should someone invest in esports?
It's a big industry right now. Like esports is making millions, billions of dollars these days. So it's a new thing. A lot of older technology is dying out and new technologies come in, right? So this is a new thing that's already making a good amount of money. So it's just a good time to invest, really.
Okay. This next question's for both of you. I'll start with you, Erin. So what has gaming taught you that you use in your everyday life?
I feel like gaming kind of opened my eyes to the community aspect and how important it is to meet another person and kind of help socialize and get together and kind of really establish that relationship and become friends with another person that you met online through a screen. I heard many stories of players meeting together in real life because of their love of the game. It's really a magical thing, and how esports kind of just brings this sense of community, and since if you love a game so much, you can talk about it with another person, and that helps develop that relationship, and it's really phenomenal to see it happen, especially like here at CSUN and Club. There's a lot of members that become friends probably throughout their time here.
Yeah, definitely the friendship aspect is a big part of it. Like, I love the fighting game community. They're really welcoming, they're really friendly, but also it's just like a good way to exercise your brain. You're constantly thinking when you're playing these esports games. There's a lot of factors involved that you're you're making these split-second decisions all the time, and when you're doing that, your brain is constantly being exercised. It helps a lot with your cognitive ability. It helps a lot with your reflexes and things like that, spatial awareness. So it's just really good way to exercise your brain.
And what do you think has had more of an impact on the gaming industry growth, the competitive esports community or the streaming community?
That's a little hard to say. I would say probably streaming, because definitely the competitive community is a big part of it. Without that, you wouldn't have esports. You have to have people that love this game and get together and want to compete in these games. But you can have all these people, but if you don't have a way to get it out to the masses and for people to understand that there is a community behind it, then you wouldn't have esports. So I would say streaming is probably the bigger one.
What about you?
Yeah, I also agree that streaming is like one of the biggest things that gaming companies like to kind of help focus on, especially like single player games. They reach out to these streamers and they give them like access codes or beta codes to test the game early and showcase the game, so people are interested and would be willing to buy and purchase like the game. And then for esports, for like big competitive games, it's just streaming really just invites everyone. You don't have to know the game, what's happening, to know what's happening. You just can just watch the person playing it, learn a lot. Or if you're a fan of the pro player, it really is just the biggest thing that esports does. It's just streaming is just the biggest thing right now.
And where do you see the esports industry heading in the next couple of years?
It's definitely going in the way of sports, right? It's growing dramatically. These past few years, it has seen like the biggest growth in esports ever. So you're already having schools that are providing scholarships to people to play and also learn to manage teams and stuff like that. You have these gigantic prize pools for people that are playing. And then you're getting this massive viewership these days. So it's growing to a point where really we can treat it as a sport. In Korea already, esports players, specifically League of Legends players, are treated like football players over there. So it's getting big, and I can see it going the direction that sports has gone and becoming like a massive, an even bigger industry than it already is.
Do you have anything to add to that, Erin?
Yeah, so I firmly believe that the next big thing that esports can do is go into the collegiate scene. College is where people kind of start playing a lot more and have more free time to play. Collegiate esports is where the gaming organizations look into if there's a player that is really performing well in the collegiate scene. They can pick up that player into the pro scene once they're either graduating or they give them a full ride. Stuff like that. Collegiate esports is starting to become a really big thing. UCI is one of the most popular colleges to mention about esports. So hopefully all the other CSUs and UCs kind of start picking up on the trend of collegiate esports.
And also like offering paths for people that don't necessarily want to play, like we mentioned, team management, tournament organizing, and stuff like that. Just the behind-the-scenes stuff would also be really interesting too, and I can definitely see classes for things like that.
That's all we have time for. Thank you both for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for watching On Point. You can follow us on social media at CSUN On Point. You can hear us on KCSN 88.5 FM on Sunday mornings at 5:30. You can watch us on Santa Clarita Valley Television on Sundays at 5 and on LA 36 at 4 on Thursday afternoons and 7:30 on Friday nights. For On Point, I'm Yara of Tapia.